Water rates will increase next month after the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System or MWSS approves a petition of Maynilad and Manila Water. Monokson tells us why.
Marilu Recto's water bill for this month increased to more than 3,000 pesos, a far cry from the average of 283 pesos. She says the amount rose due to the leak in their toilet.
Ginawa po namin, chinek po namin yung CR. Doon ko po nalaman na yun po palang problema. Yung flush po, may tagas po siya.
If the problem has not been addressed, Marilu's water bill might further increase next month as the MWSS approves petitions for water rate hike. The rate adjustment, MWSS explains, is due to the Foreign Currency Differential Adjustment or FCDA. It is a mechanism granted to water concessionaires, Maynilad and Manila Water, to recover their losses or to return their overcharge amount based on the fluctuations of the dollar, yen, or euro. The FCDA changes every 3 months within a year. When the value of peso strengthens and when the value of other currencies go down, FCDA increases when the value of peso decreases.
Alam po natin na bumababa ang peso compared sa dollar. Ang nangyayari po ngayon is tumataas ang FCDA. So may adjustment po tayo this month.
Manila Water customers will have an increase of 1 peso 58 centavos per cubic meter in the average basic charge of 36 pesos and 40 centavos. This means households consuming 10 cubic meters per month will have to pay an additional of 5 pesos and 21 centavos, while households consuming 30 cubic meters per month will see their water bills increase by 23 pesos and 59 centavos. Maynilad customers, meanwhile, will have an additional 26 centavos per cubic meter in the average basic charge of 48 pesos and 3 centavos. This means households consuming 10 cubic meters per month will have to pay an additional of 23 centavos, while the water bill of households consuming 30 cubic meters per month will go up by 1 peso and 75 centavos. The water rate hike of Maynilad and Manila Water will take effect on July 1. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is preparing a policy writer for the planned mandatory drug testing for public utility bus drivers. But some provincial bus operators are worried over LTFRB's plan. Joanano tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte seeks to have all bus drivers undergo drug testing before going on a trip to prevent road accidents. In line with this, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB will meet with the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA to discuss the planned mandatory drug testing for bus drivers. Board member Attorney Eileen Lizada says, aside from bus drivers, the agency also plans to implement mandatory drug tests on all public utility drivers.
Nakaset na po yung meeting namin sa board to discuss how to implement and execute itong guidance na ito po.
Among the considerations of the LTFRB is the budget for the program. The agency says it is studying how to conduct the surprise drug test and how many times within a year.
Aside from random checking, paano natin magagawa yung faithful compliance ng mga bus drivers na magda-drug test prior to any trip, especially pag mga peak season po.
But provincial bus operators are not in favor of the proposal as it will affect operations aside from the expenses.
Siguro kung ang requirement ay yung mandatory na bawat biyahe, palagay ko hindi practical yon. Ang mga bus operators ngayon, ang ginagawa nila, random drug test. Walang announcement. Palagay ko mas effective yun eh.
The LTFRB says some bus operators conduct drug testing every peak season or holiday. The LTFRB is set to meet with PDEA on June 20. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
More than 200 private universities and colleges in the country are applying for a tuition increase. The Commission on Higher Education, meanwhile, plans to ask for more funds as it sets to implement the government's free college education program. Let's find out why from Grace Cassie.
The impact of controversial train law undoubtedly goes beyond markets. On Thursday, the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, announced more than 200 private universities and colleges have applied for another tuition increase. CHED officer in charge, Prospero de Vera III, explains the schools are asking for an 11 to 12% increase, citing rising operating expenses due to the implementation of the tax reform law as one of the reasons.
Some are saying the effects of train law, also because cost of education has really gone higher.
The schools also cited an increase in salaries of teachers. Many of professors of private schools transferred to public universities and colleges due to higher wages.
They have to keep their salaries more competitive with those in the public sector.
Meanwhile, CHED says more than 1 million students will benefit from the free college education program of the government for school year 2018 to 2019. The government allotted 16 billion pesos for the said program. CHED admits many students could not go to college as a huge number of schools are not allowed to accept more students. CHED clarifies those not accepted could still enroll to other state universities and colleges. The agency plans to ask Congress to add 12 billion pesos worth of fund for free college education in order to accommodate more students. Grace Casen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The number of out-of-school Filipino youths slightly decreases according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. In its annual poverty indicator survey, youth dropouts went down to 3.6 million in 2017 from 3.8 million in 2016, or about 10% of the 39 million Filipinos with age range from 6 to 24 years old. Survey results show that family matters was the main reason for dropping out of school, followed by financial concerns and lack of interest. PSA's annual poverty indicator survey covers around 11,000 households nationwide. The Department of Foreign Affairs believes selling of passport appointment slots and other illegal schemes will now be prevented through its newly launched electronic payment system. Here's why from Nel Maribuho.
Passports applicants can now make payments under the newly launched e-payment scheme of the Department of Foreign Affairs. The new system is open in the ASEAN Consular Office of the DFA. The agency targets to implement the entire National Capital Region next month and in the entire country in August. The DFA explains it would help make passport application easier. Like the regular appointment system, applicants would just have to go to the passport.gov.ph and schedule an appointment. Afterwards, applicants can choose where payment center to pay. Those who have already paid will receive an email. Just make sure to bring the requirements on the scheduled appointment date. Passport fees remain the same except for the additional 50 pesos when paying at payment centers. Through the e-payment scheme, the DFA notes those who sell appointment slots would be prevented from doing so.
Discourage or minimize yung hoarding, the hoarding of the appointment slots.
Meanwhile, the DFA also opens today 100,000 appointment slots, where 50,000 of which will open at 9 in the evening later. The DFA says beginning tomorrow, it will open 10,000 appointment slots per day. The agency assures it continues to investigate some of its employees accused of selling appointment slots.
Whether sa Facebook nyo nakikita, sa text o kung ano man, pag may nag-offer sa inyo na may bayad mapapabilis ang passport, paalam nyo sa amin para ma-entrap natin.
Those with problem with the e-payment system may report it to the DFA number 2343488. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
A new study confirms that Sanofi's anti-dengue vaccine, Dengvaxia, increases the risk of hospitalization and severe dengue among those who have never been previously infected with the mosquito-borne disease. The findings, published on Wednesday in the New England Journal of Medicine, offer fresh support for the World Health Organization's recommendation in April that the vaccine should not be used without testing for prior dengue exposure. Currently, there are no widely available rapid tests for prior dengue infection. The vaccine was given to more than 800,000 school children in the Philippines during the Aquino administration. In November, Sanofi issued a warning on the vaccine's risks based on a new analysis of blood samples from thousands of inoculated children through a newly developed testing process. The study's authors calculated that if given to 1 million children over age 9, the vaccine could prevent some 11,000 hospitalizations and 2,500 cases of severe dengue. But it could also lead to 1,000 hospitalizations and 500 severe cases of dengue in children who have not been previously infected. The Department of Health calls on the public to support persons with depression amid reports on suicide cases. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Filipinos should give support to their friends and loved ones with suicidal tendencies and avoid trivializing mental disorders. According to the Department of Health, suicide is preventable as long as one do not dismiss a person's depression. DOH explains depression is a period of sadness that lasts for 2 weeks and more, which causes a person to lose interest in activities once enjoyed. The agency adds a depressed person would also prefer to be left alone and have thoughts of self-harm and suicide.
90+%. May warning signs yan. So it's very important na yung companion or family member be aware na ito warning sign ng suicide ito.
The World Health Organization reports that more than 800,000 die yearly from suicide worldwide. It is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29 years old. In the Philippines, more than 2,500 suicide deaths were recorded in 2012, and the DOH is working to prevent this from increasing by opening a hope or suicide hotline. Since its launch in 2016, they received more than 7,000 calls from depressed persons, and 44% of them belong to the age group 13 to 29 years old. DOH also advises the public to seek help and intervention for people who have signs of depression and suicide attempts. The appeal came after the high-profile deaths of designer Kate Spade and celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, both of whom have battled depression prior to their deaths.
It's a complex issue pero it's preventable. It's really a sad thing, no? Na you think people have everything, but if you don't pay attention, you'll miss the warning sign.
As of now, the agency continues to monitor the hope line to check the caller's condition and prevent any suicidal attempts. Aiko Miguel, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.